Vamos dar um tempinho para as pessoas entrarem. Hoje nós estamos aqui com convidados muito especiais, trazendo um conteúdo bem bacana para vocês. Eu sou a Camila, eu sou responsável pelo Departamento de Universidades do STB, e hoje a gente está muito feliz de trazer um conteúdo bem bacana para todo mundo, em parceria com a UCLA Extension, que é um grande parceiro do STB. Para quem não conhece o STB, nós somos uma agência de educação internacional, nós oferecemos diversos programas, tipos de programa para estudantes que querem ter uma experiência fora do Brasil. E dentro do nosso departamento de universidades, nós temos programas de graduação, pós-graduação, e também certificados e extensões para profissionais também. Então, hoje nós estamos aqui com esse parceiro incrível, que é a UCLA Extension. Eles vão trazer um conteúdo bem legal sobre a área de entretenimento, e o conteúdo todo vai ser ministrado em inglês. Nós vamos ter o suporte em português para as perguntas, então fiquem à vontade para colocar perguntas no nosso chat, que a gente vai responder ao longo do webinar, tá? Então, agora, switching to English. Thank you, UCLA Extension, for delivering this amazing content to our students in partnership with us. We are very, very happy that we were able to promote this amazing webinar. So now the floor is all yours, and thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, and sorry I don't speak Portuguese, but I just wanted to say greetings from Los Angeles. Thank you again for being here today. My name is Sandra. I work in international programs at UCLA Extension, and I want to tell you a little bit about our certificate programs. So they're usually 6 to 9 months long. There are 40 plus fields to choose from, such as entertainment studies, which Jeanette and Drew will tell you a lot more about today. These programs are cost effective and time saving. They're an alternative to traditional masters, which can take between 2 and 3 years to complete. These classes are taught by leading industry experts, and students may be eligible for OPT or optional practical training after they complete their programs here. Now my colleague, Robina Blundell, she'll tell you a little bit more about another program we offer, which is our intensive English programs. Robina, Bobby?
Hi, Blundell, but please call me Bobby. I'm one of the academic advisors at International Programs in the Language Centre. So perhaps you need to improve your English language skills before you apply for a certificate program. So if this is the case, the English course, that's the right fit for you. And I just want to tell you a little bit about some of the benefits of studying in our intensive English programs. The first of which is when you study in our highest levels, you get UCLA approved transferable credit, or we have test waiver agreements with various colleges and universities, and also a test waiver agreement with UCLA Extension. What does this mean, a test waiver agreement? This means that when you apply for the certificate program of your choice, you do not have to submit a TOEFL or IELTS score if you successfully complete our highest level at the American Language Centre. So this is a great benefit. And a lot of students have taken advantage of this. They have studied with us for 1 or 2 quarters, and then they've gone directly into the certificate program that they would like to study in. We also have some other free services that we provide our students, which I think make our program just that little bit extra special and an advantage over others. And the first of which is our academic and career advising. You can make an appointment with an advisor after school to get advice about college applications or applying for your certificate program. We also have an academic skills center where you get one-on-one tutoring after school, which is free. You can get help with homework, writing assignments. We also have a language partner program where you can have a language exchange with, for example, a UCLA student who's studying your language, Portuguese. And this is to friends and to improve your language skills. UCLA Extension offers a variety of services also for where you can get a 30-minute impulse and get help with your writing assignments while you're studying in our certificate programs. So if you have any questions related to these services or our English program, please ask me during the Q&A and throw it over to Drew Conrad from Entertainment Studies, and he's going to give you a little bit more information about his programs.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Yes, my name is Drew Conrad. I am the Student Affairs Officer for the Entertainment Studies program. So that covers directing, acting, cinematography, producing, business and management of entertainment. We have music as well, independent music production, music business, and film scoring. Briefly about myself, I'm a lifelong musician. I've toured throughout Europe. And we also have we have somebody who writes for the Hollywood Reporter. We have an actress. My point is all of the folks in the entertainment studies, and I realize you're not all here for entertainment studies, but for those of you who are, all of us in entertainment studies have a background in the industry and have a stake in it. So we truly, truly are here for you, want to see you succeed in this industry. Now, were we going to go into some specifics, or I think I'll share my screen later in the breakout room, is that correct?
We don't have the breakout rooms, Drew, with this live stream, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, but did you want me going into some of our programs?
Maybe later if students have more questions, but we can maybe go ahead and introduce Jeanette now. I think, Drew, you might have a better introduction than I would.
Sure. And I apologize. I'm having a very odd delay with my internet here, so hopefully you can hear everything okay. Absolute pleasure to introduce one of our truly, truly extraordinary instructors, Miss Jeannette Millio. Miss Millio is a feature film and television producer and financier. She worked in multiple areas of the entertainment business, including development, production, distribution, sales, and entertainment financing. She ran a media fund which invested in the production, acquisition, and worldwide distribution of over 40 television and theatrical projects for the likes of HBO, Showtime, ABC, USA Network, Disney, Lionsgate, Sony Pictures, Warner Brothers, the list goes on and on. She began her career in her home country of Germany and eventually made her way to the United States. She is an expert speaker on matters of production, international co-production, and entertainment financing. She is also a member of the Producers Council for the Producers Guild of America. She's an executive member of Women in Film and a member of the Cannes Film Festival Producers Network. She regularly teaches our course Entertainment Financing from First Dollar to Distribution of Profits. And as the Student Affairs Officer, I interact regularly with our students, and I can honestly tell you that I hear regular high praise for Jeannette Millio. She's outstanding. Please welcome Miss Jeannette Millio.
Oh boy, Drew, I owe you huge bottle of champagne. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. I'm flushing now. Anyway, so yes, I've done a few things. What I like about this platform, what we're doing here today, is because we're talking to students who are actually not from Los Angeles. We're talking to students who are in a whole different world, right? Like you can hear from my accent, I'm actually not from this country. I am from Germany. Wir können uns auch auf Deutsch unterhalten. We're not going to speak German right now, but so I just want to let you know that I have been where you are today, coming to a new country, immigrating here. I actually won the green card in the lottery, which is the only thing I've ever won. I never usually win anything, not even a raffle ticket, but I did win the green card. So it enabled me to come and study in the US and work in the US. And what I can say is, talking about Bobby and her course and helping with English, when I came, my English was terrible. I couldn't even speak a sentence. Still sometimes I do grammar things that are not so great. So having that language barrier is also a little bit scary. I think it was for me. I felt a little bit insecure about entering into this industry, being in the entertainment industry, not speaking the language properly. So that's something that UCLA really has figured out how to help with in making you feel more comfortable when you come here and you study any of the programs really at UCLA. It doesn't matter if it's an entertainment program where I'm teaching and I'm doing entertainment finance, as Drew mentioned, any program really. If you get the security and working with Bobby and getting your English better, that's definitely a good thing. I like the producing certificate particularly because it gives you the option to enter this somewhat complex industry fairly seamlessly. And when I say seamlessly, I mean you learn a lot about the do's and don'ts of the industry from the people that do this every day. Like, Myself, I'm producing and financing film and television content. Other colleagues of mine work in the industry. They're producers, they're marketing executives, when I say producers, I mean like top level producers. They work with studios, they work with leading network stations. So these are really people that do this every day. And I don't think there is a place or a book that you can gain this knowledge from where in a focused fashion as you do here with UCLA Extension. So the entry is a lot easier. You also immediately meet people. You meet these high-level executives that are always happy to help you in finding your way in the industry, working with other people in the industry, making introductions to other people in the industry. A lot of the people that are in my courses go on to work with Netflix, Amazon, and really amazing companies. I'm just mentioning a few of the last participants that I had that share with me, Jeanette, I got a job at Netflix, or I'm working at Amazon, or I just got my first movie done and it's going out into the theaters. I just had someone tell me this the other week. So it is really a hands-on kind of experience that you learn that integrates you in this industry much easier than when I came. When I came, I had to learn it the hard way. I made a lot of mistakes. I did not have I didn't know about the rules, so many of them, and often you better ignore them anyway. But I didn't know anything about anything. So I made a lot of mistakes that you can avoid by taking a course like this and studying with UCLA like this, because it shows you all the pitfalls that are possible. You learn from the people, because we industry executives openly share with you what we do wrong, because there's a better way in learning from things that don't work than just learning from things that do work. So these pitfalls in our industry, specifically in Hollywood, there's a whole long list that can happen. And knowing what can come to you and what you can avoid is really important. And getting this experience in a way where you work with others, like peers in your group that are like at the same level than you and trying to do different things in the range that you're working on, in the area that you're working in, is also great, because you start to network early on and you start to support each other early on. The chances of all of you going into the entertainment industry and doing something and growing there are very high, because you have a very strong education with UCLA Extension. And then you kind of stay in touch with them and you kind of grow with them. So a lot of the people that I started with when I came here 20 years ago to Los Angeles, I'm still in touch with, and they're now working at Lionsgate. Someone works at Netflix, someone works at HBO. So I get to stay in touch with these people when I do my own content, because I still produce movies, of course, and I have to sell them somewhere. Otherwise, what's the point in making them? So this network opportunity that you get so early in your career, or maybe it's a shift you're making in your career, but this network opportunity is very important. And this is only something you get in Los Angeles, or if you do the course online, that's okay too, but you only get it working with people in this group and doing an interactive exchange in working in this environment and growing in this environment. So I think the experience that you get here is very unusual and helpful in a way that it introduces you into a world that wouldn't otherwise be available like this, in this form. So just to sum it up, I think when you work with people that know what they're doing every day, I think it's a gift that I think keeps giving, because you have the possibility of asking questions that are real life questions, hands-on questions. You get a lot of hands-on experience as you work on your content. A lot of my students are actually working on a project when they come into the course, and they want me to help them put a business plan together, or they want me to help them put a finance plan together, or they have conversations with distributors or sales agents or with investors, and they want to make sure that they do the right deals. All these things we guide them through, so that when they put their film project together or their TV show together, I'm sorry, this is bad, I should not have put my phone on, sorry about that. When they put these projects together, they're really doing it with someone who can lead them and guide them. And that's really the idea for all of the courses, in offering this hands-on experience with people that do this every day, that they really are hands-on and give you real materials that you can work with. So in my class, for example, I share finance plans that I use for my films. I share sample agreements when I attach actors or directors. I share, I would say, there are big agreements that you do in the end that summarize everything. We call them collection agreements. I share all those examples. So you don't just learn about what is important to know as a producer or a financier, or as someone who try to get into this industry. You actually get hands-on things that you can take home and you can use when you put your project together. So you really learn everything from the inception of an idea to developing the idea, packaging it with cast, finding investors, finding distributors, and selling your idea, to protecting your revenues and making sure you can generate a profit. So from the first step on, you learn about what projects to choose, what to focus on, what can work in what marketplace. How do I do an art house movie? How do I make money with an art house movie? How do I do a commercial feature film? How do I do a TV show? How can I make money with that? Because in the end of the day, you're doing this content for it to be seen and for it to be shown somewhere. So I cannot tell you how many independent producers I know. They make product and it just never goes anywhere, just sits around. So that's not the ideal thing. You want to work on something that actually can be sold and can make money. And that's this hand-on kind of experience that we offer in the entertainment studies environment that gets you from A to Z, like without any gaps in between. Any questions? No questions?
At least not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Could you tell us a little bit more about the classes that you teach? I know you've given us plenty of great information, but I guess just a little bit more about that. If you want to expand on that.
So my specific class is entertainment finance, from first dollar to distribution of profits. So in this class, you learn anything from, coming up with an idea, securing an idea, working with a writer on an idea. Maybe you are a writer, maybe you're an actor, maybe you're a director. You work on an idea and you want to see the idea made as a film or a television show. Could be film content, could be television content. And what you learn in my class is how you put that idea together. How do you get it from the paper into, something that we can see on the screen? And every step that you need to take, from choosing the right idea, optimizing that idea properly so it can be commercial globally, unless you do it just for a local market. I mean, if you do a German movie in Germany or a Portuguese movie in Portugal, that's fine. But if you're working on content that is globally, you need to structure it in a way that it's globally valuable. So you learn about what that story needs to have, what the story needs to look like, and then what kind of cast and director attachments you should look for, and how you attach cast and director. It's not something you just call up, Halle Berry, do you want to be in my movie? That's not how that works. So how do you actually do that? How do you get the cast and the director to attach to your film? And then we learn about how you actually attach them. What kind of deal terms do you need to watch out for in these early stages, when you do rights acquisition agreements, when you attach your actors and your director? What kind of deals do you do? What is important to watch out for? And then when you go to put your movie together, we're talking about what is the ideal finance plan. So not just how much should my movie cost in view of where I'm selling it, meaning globally, how much can I spend for the movie? Because it's not about you saying, I want to do a $20 million movie because I think my movie is so cool and that's what it should cost. And then you find out from a sales agent, for example, who is someone who sells your movie to the world and sells distribution rights, your movie is only worth $5 million. Now what do you do? So you have to reduce your budget. But you don't know that until you get the feedback from the marketplace, like from someone as a sales agent, to tell you, here's what your movie is actually worth. Here's what your movie is worth with this cast. Here's what your movie is worth with that cast. Here's what your movie is worth with this director or with that director. It's the same script we're talking about, right? But the values change. And the sales agents, people that do the actual distribution sales, can tell you early on what you should be making the movie for. And then you work your way backwards. You structure your budget to adhere to what the movie is worth in the marketplace. So we talk about how you do that. You can't just cut, script scenes. I mean, that's just not the way to do it. You have to work in a way to minimize your budget, that it still looks good. It's a strong production quality. You can still pay for the actors that you want, but there are areas in the budget that you can pick and choose to reduce your budget to make it more feasible. And then we're talking about, now you have a feasible budget. What are the finance elements that are available to you today? Where can you go and pick and choose? What sources do you have in the global marketplace today? There are banks, there are investors, there are incentive lenders that give you production incentives or give you a loan for production incentives. There are sales agents that give you a minimum guarantee. There are distributors that give you a minimum guarantee. There are equity investors. There are junior lenders. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people, a whole selection of sources available for you, for the producer today. So what I make you aware of is A, what are these sources? Where are these sources? Who are these people? How do I get these people to invest in my movie and give me money? And what is the ideal balance of all these people together, all these finance structures together, so that I can make a profit? Because there is a structure to this madness of putting movie financing together, and it needs to be done in a balance in order for anyone to make a profit. So we talk about what is the ideal balance and what do we do if the balance needs to be shifted, because not every movie has the same value in the marketplace. So what do we do when a movie may be making less money, looks like is projected to make less money internationally and is projected to make more money maybe in the US? These are values we talk about. So if the value is not as great, how can we offset this without crunching on numbers and crunching the budget together? So there are ways to work with these finance sources and balance them out to still make the movie without having to crunch a number so hard. So we talk about the balance of finance sources, and then we talk about the distribution deals, because once you do the movie and you finance it, put it together, it needs to be sold. What deals should you be making? What options do you have in the distribution world today? What are some things you should not be doing? What are the pitfalls in distribution? So we talk about a lot of the value that distribution has, but also the risk that is associated with distributing your movie and the things you need to watch out for. We talk about that, and then we talk about how to protect the revenue. So when the money comes, so the distribution rights are being sold, money is coming in. Where does the money go? Does it go to the distributor, the sales agent? Ideally not. It goes to a collection agent, which is a neutral escrow agency. People don't even know that exists. So we're talking about how to protect your revenue and then how to protect your profit. So we really take it from the first little piece of paper that is your idea all the way through the production, the financing, the distribution, the marketing, to making the profits in the end, and taking all the little steps and making sure we have all the little check marks on the little risks that we want to avoid. So we talk a lot about risk mitigation. We talk a lot about profit optimization. We talk a lot about how you protect yourself as a content creator and producer, and how you protect your investors, how you can attract investors, how you can make it interesting for them. We talk a lot about how a business plan should look like for them. It's a little different for an investor than for, let's say, pitching a deck to like a Netflix executive or a studio executive. So we talk about these differences, and we really walk you through all the little things you need to know to be successful in the end with your piece of content and show it properly where it should be shown. Does that make sense?
Yes, guys, let me just tell our public just one thing. We are gonna answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation, I believe. So you can write them on the chat that we are receiving every question here. So we are gonna answer as soon as possible.
I haven't even looked at these questions, sorry.
No, don't worry. I think, yeah, there are several. I'm glad you're making your points, and I think yeah, there are several questions, but there'll be time at the end to answer them.
Good.
Thank you, everybody, by the way, for all these questions.
Yeah, and I am sorry, I'm not seeing them. I'm not trying to annoy anyone, or I'm not seeing them pop up on my end. No,
you're fine. You're good.
Okay, so I just want to make the point that especially for people that are not in the US and that then come out of the US, to make it in this industry, the best way to do this is to really work with people that know what they're doing. It doesn't get any better. There is no other way to do this properly. This industry is so complex and doesn't really follow normal business rules in many cases. So you really need to work with the people that do know how to do this. And that's what UCLA Extension really does a very good job at, in providing you with that opportunity. Sandra, do you want me to continue, or?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm looking at these questions too, just to kind of see how we can organize them at the end. But you mentioned, I mean, you've talked a lot about all of your experience, and these are all good things. I have never thought about this field myself, so you know, it's all new to me. But I guess so it seems like the most valuable thing here is networking, right? For fields like these, for fields in the entertainment studies, and do you feel like a lot of that happens in your classrooms? You know, between students, between, you know, American students, international students, like I would imagine you have like the front row seat to see those kinds of things happen. And I'm just wondering if you have any.
Yes,
you know.
Absolutely. Happy to share that. A lot of the students, and I teach live and I teach online, so I do both. And a lot of my students are actually foreign students. So they come from all areas. I have actually a lot of people from Brazil, which is a lot of fun. And then, and we obviously do productions as well. So sometimes we hire some people from our classes and just put them onto our productions, which is great. They get some great experience. So I have a lot of people from Brazil, a lot of people from Asia, a lot of people from all the different countries, Europe as well. And it's nice to see how they all combine in their field and how they are all about, you know, getting projects made and wanting to learn about the best path to do that. And it is networking. It is networking not just between the students, which is extremely important because all the students then go into doing different things. They have internships with different companies so they can exchange knowledge and can exchange the relationships that they have made with where they had experiences. Like the people that I had worked on my production, they met my director, they met, you know, some of my people on the crew, and end up doing other things with them. And I'm only hearing this because they call me, say, hey, guess what? I'm working with this one I met in your production. So networking is extremely important, and staying in touch with each other even after the courses is important. But it's also good to be able to network with your teachers, because they have opportunities and they can offer you opportunities. I always send, you know, my peeps around when they say I would like to work in development more than financing, for example. I had someone call me the other day, said, I want to really be an executive who works in the development of things, you know, structuring these scripts, working on the story level. How do I go about that? So I gave her some ideas on how to put her resume together and make it work, and what jobs she should be looking at when she wants to be a development executive. So we often give that advice too. It's not just I'm teaching you about numbers. I also sometimes help people to make decisions what their next career step could be, depending on where they are and what they want to do. Not everyone wants to be a big producer, and they're just maybe just wanting to do. I had one person who just wanted to distribution. So I connected them with the sales agent I worked with, and they started there as a sales agent assistant. And now I think they have their own little territories already assigned to them that they sell themselves. So from here, you learn so much in these courses, in every one of these entertainment study courses, that you can branch out into different career areas. And sometimes you don't really know what you want to do. And you learn about what you could be doing and what is ideal for you by taking a course like this or doing the certificate, right? When you do the producing certificate, you have the option of learning about all the different areas that are available to you in the industry. And then you can decide what you actually like most. You might come in and say, oh, I wanted to be a producer. And then you figure out, you know what, the whole producing thing is too complicated. I really like sales. I'm a good salesperson. I know how to pitch. I know how to do this. I'm going to go into sales and distribution. I have people going into marketing. So you can decide what, you know, fits well with who you are and what you now learn about the profession that you thought you wanted to do, and now you shift over to something else. And then working with the teachers that you meet in the entertainment studies class, you can figure out, how can I approach this or that company if I want to do this or that? And then they can provide guidance, and many do provide guidance, like I am. You know, how do you structure a resume when you go to this kind of company, and what do they want to know? What do they want to hear if you apply for this certain position? So I think there is a lot of learning that happens here that is kind of orientational for people that enter this industry in figuring out what they actually want to do in the industry, if that makes sense. So especially for people from other countries, because they, of course, have potentially local entertainment industry things happening where they are. I mean, there is film and television in Brazil. I know it because I sell to Brazil. So, but, you know, for me, when I did this in Germany, I worked at a network station in Germany as an assistant when I started. I worked in Cologne for RTL. I was a secretary. I didn't want to be a producer. Are you kidding me? That wasn't even on my brain to be a producer. So I was just a secretary. and I worked in a department where we were doing all the entertainment shows. We were doing German versions of Price is Right, Family Feud. I mean, all these, American shows, we were doing them in German. So I was the secretary of the person that ran the department, and we were producing 15 different shows. And at the time, in the 90s, game shows were totally big. So we were the happening thing. So I learned a lot about producing by looking at the producers that I worked with, figuring out what they were doing. I'm like, I want to do what they do. I want to be a producer. So I then became first a producer for game shows. So that's how I started, having my own game show on a different network that also was in Cologne. But that's what I did. And then I was like, oh, game shows. Now I want to go into movies. I had no idea. So I actually wrote a resume to a production company in Munich and says, I know you're looking for a film producer. I'm not really there yet. I know how to produce TV shows, but would you be willing to give me a chance, maybe as an assistant or something? And they actually called me up and said, so you work for a private network station. They were doing a lot of programming for the public network stations in Germany. So they actually hired me for my relationships to the private network stations, which were becoming very strong in Germany, so that I can open doors for them. I'm like, yeah, I know how to sell, that I can do. But I didn't know anything about filmmaking or shooting a film. So the first thing that happens, I go on the set, they were shooting a movie. And when you do game shows, you're on the studio, you have a lot of cameras everywhere, 50 different cameras in every angle. So I go on the film set and I'm like, this is very inefficient. They only have one camera. That makes no sense. So everyone looked at me going, is she insane? Of course there's only one camera because it's a movie. I mean, nowadays, obviously, we do multi-camera shoots, but you can imagine how stupid I looked for those 5 minutes. And thank God, I only asked the person next to me, why is that so inefficient? They only have one camera. They're like, oh, shouldn't you be working as a film producer? So I learned, I used the skill that I had. I opened doors for them, but they then gave me a chance to learn about producing films and producing fictional content, which I didn't know anything about. So I then, of course, you work your way into it, but every new job that comes across your way is an expansion. And again, when I started as a secretary, it's like, okay, I want to be, doing this. I like organizing people's lives, and I'm a really good secretary because I'm an organized German. That's what we know how to do. And then I got inspired by what I saw. I was like, okay, this is cool. I want to do this. So I didn't go to film school. I wish I would have known about UCLA Extension at the time, which I didn't know. And I had to kind of learn this by doing. And when I moved here, oh my God, when I worked the first time with a bond company, a completion bond company is an insurance company that is put on your movie to avoid budget overages and to make sure that you deliver a film on time and on budget. I had no idea. We don't have this in Germany. So I worked with the bond company. They insured my movie. And then I was like dingling on. My director came from Germany. I was a German producer. So it was literally the blind leading the blind. We were shooting in Malibu. We were just doing our thing. So in Germany, when we are delayed on a schedule, I buy pizza and beer and everyone works for free. That doesn't work in America. Can't have pizza and beer on a set. So we actually have to pay them overages here. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going over budget. I'm delayed. So the bond company came on my set and says, if you don't get your people in check and you get back on schedule, we're going to take the movie over and away from you. So they were about to fire me for my own movie. This is drastic. So I sat down with my director. We had to cut a few pages out of the script to make up for the time that we've lost. So I didn't know. So you learn by doing. And now, of course, I've learned how to stay on budget and I learned how to be nice with the bond company because they're very important. If you want money from a bank or an investor, you have to insure your movie. These things are important. But, I don't know. We don't do this in Germany. I don't know if they do it in Brazil. It's like we just go, and if we go over budget, we go over budget. Oh, the network pays for it. Doesn't happen here. So, studios obviously, pay for budget overages. They don't do what independents do. They don't. I don't think studios use completion bonds, but that's okay. They have enough money to go over budget and do that. But as an independent film, we independent producers, we have to stick to our budgets because if we go over budget, who's going to pay for this? The producer certainly cannot, and then the movie never gets finished. So it's a good thing to know about these things. So these cultural things and getting inspired by what you see happens when you're here and you see it. You see people doing it. So when you network with someone in your class, let's say you have someone who is doing their first film, maybe it's a short film, could be a short film. Just being on the set and seeing what does the camera department do? What does the wardrobe department do? What does the set designer do? Oh, I like set design. Maybe I should be going into set design. To just see what they do and get inspired by what you see, that happens when you're here in your network. It doesn't happen when you sit on your couch in Rio de Janeiro. You got to come here. You got to do it here. So this is kind of what I like about diving into this in a way where you have other people at the same level expanding with you, and you have the guidance of professionals that do this every day, that can offer you help and give you some pointers as to what you should be avoiding. So you don't do what I do, you know, silly things and make mistakes. Lots of them.
So it sounds like we can all, anyone interested in this field can learn from your experiences, because you have a diverse amount of them, which is great. I think we're at 35 minutes, so I think we're on time for question and answer, unless, Jeanette, is that okay if we move on to question and answer?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't want to bore people.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's see, we have a few questions here. So someone was asking, what level of English do we need to have? Camilla, I was wondering, is there any way to post answers in the chat? Or because they're...
No, yeah, I believe the best way would be just answering it live.
Oh,
yeah.
To say it out loud. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I guess, Drew, I think you have a lot more experience with, you know, working with students and, you know, international students doing these programs. What would you be able to answer this question about the level of English you need to have, I guess, for some of the programs, most of the programs in entertainment studies?
Yeah, for most of them in entertainment studies, to be perfectly honest with you, it's a question more for the International Student Office, but I know that TOEFL needs to be at least an 83. IELTS has to be a 6.5 overall, and the other one that I'm not really familiar with, the ITEP, is 4.5.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Drew. So those are the three types of test scores that we accept. There also there is more information about that on our website. So if you went onto our the extension website under certificates for international students, you could see there what Drew just said. So most of the programs, which is the most require an 83 in the IELTS test, and then the only different one I think is like screenwriting, since it's writing intensive. There's a higher level. Yeah, let me take a look. Thank you, Drew. Let me take a look and see what. So, Rock and Roll would like to know if a student with an F1 visa can get into auditions for movies with an advanced English level. That is a very specific, good question that I don't know the answer to. I don't know. Does anybody want to take a stab at this question? F1, okay, student, an F1 visa.
Well, I can briefly say that as an F1 visa student, essentially, you are here, you're permitted into the country to study. So you can't work per se. Of course, that does not include OPT. And I know somebody asked a question about OPT, optional practical training. As far as, and I'll limit my answers specifically to entertainment studies because that's my area. OPT, yes. Every single one of our programs offers the chance to do OPT, which is 1 year of working in your field of study upon completing your program. There's only one, I think it's, actually it's a program we're no longer going to be offering, so scrap that one. Yes, all of our programs are valid for OPT for 1 year. And while you're on OPT, to specifically answer that question, if you are a student in the acting program, certainly auditions would be valued and make sense for your OPT training.
Okay, great. Thanks, Drew. And I think I wanted to actually, I got a little ahead of myself with question and answer. I wanted to introduce you all to a student that received the International Student Scholarship here at Extension. Her name is Rosalia. She's a Brazilian student, like many of you are, like many of you will be. And if you have any questions for her just about Brazilian students here at Extension, I think she would be a great person to answer those questions. Rosalia, do you want to say a little bit about yourself, just about what you studied here? Just something brief about your experience?
Yeah, sure. You want me to talk in English or in Portuguese?
I would say Portuguese.
Portuguese?
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Ok. Bom, meu nome é Rosália. Eu vim estudar na UCLA Extension. Eu fiz o Extension de Produziu. Terminei no ano passado. Demorei mais ou menos 1 ano e pouco para fazer. Teve gente perguntando sobre o nível de inglês, então o que eu fiz foi o TOEFL, e aí se você não atinge um determinado nível do TOEFL, quando você chega aqui, você faz as aulas, né, você faz 1 ou 2 quartos de aula de inglês, você chegar no nível, na nota máxima, o que foi super útil, super bom para quando eu cheguei aqui de ter essas aulas. Como a Sandra falou, eu ganhei, na verdade, 2 scholarships pelo UCLA Extension. E aí, respondendo um pouquinho da pergunta de alguém que falou de poder ir em audition, na verdade, quando a gente vem para cá com o visto F1 de estudante, a gente não pode trabalhar, teoricamente, só pode trabalhar para a universidade. Então, você pode trabalhar para coisas que sejam da universidade, mas você sempre pode fazer trabalhos voluntários. Então, eu fiz diversos trabalhos, produzi vários curtas enquanto eu estava no curso, fazendo um trabalho voluntário, que isso é permitido, você não está fazendo... Você está praticando e está, né, dentro, fazendo o que seu visa permite.
Rosália, posso pedir para você falar um pouquinho mais sobre esse trabalho voluntário?
Pode, claro.
Por favor.
Porque, assim, tem, né, como eu falei, a gente não pode trabalhar oficialmente a não ser para a universidade. Eu trabalhei para a universidade, para o museu da universidade, nesse período que eu estava fazendo o curso. E, além disso, nas aulas, como a Jeanette falou, você vai conhecendo um monte de gente. Então, tem um monte de gente que começa a produzir curta, videoclipe, várias coisas. E aí, você, com essas pessoas, vai colocando em prática aquilo que tu aprende durante as aulas. Então, eu fiz trabalho voluntário de produção, tipo, como producer de uns 5 curtas meus e dos meus colegas, e fiz vários trabalhos voluntários de PA, de Production Assistant, para, como a Jeanette falou, tá no set, assim, você vê o que as pessoas estão fazendo, vê o que acontece, como que funciona. Então, esse tipo de coisa acontece bastante, assim, tem bastante oportunidade de participar para aprender mesmo.
Legal, obrigada.
Imagina.
Thank you.
I love the sound of that language. It's so beautiful.
Yes, I do too. I can understand very little.
Music.
No idea what you said, but you said it very well.
Thank you.
She was talking a little bit, it was very interesting because she was talking a little bit about the volunteering experience that she had through the program, because people were asking about work permits during the program. So she was talking a little bit about like volunteering experience that she had in projects that really helped her.
Outstanding.
Thank you. And thank you, Rosalia. Thank you for that very much. I know, you know, everyone's English proficiency is different. And of course, a lot of you, maybe part of the reason you're coming is to study English, right? To study in our English programs and then maybe do a certificate later. So thank you for that. And thank you everyone for your questions. I see somebody asked about an F1 student getting an agent. Yeah, definitely. So STV, they're an agent. They can help you, right? They can help you get started here at Extension. If you have questions, you know, they can field them over to us or help you themselves. Any other questions? I guess anybody else have any wisdom or advice to share?
Sandra, there's this question I think would be interesting for Drew to answer. It's does the student need to have previous work experience or study in entertainment in order to enroll in one of your programs?
Absolutely.
So do they need
not.
to have a background?
No, I would say the only exception to that would be film scoring. And we do have on our website, which is entertainment.uclaextension.edu. If you go to the film scoring program, you must be able to, you have to know some music theory, you have to be able to read music, etc. For the rest of our programs, absolutely not. These are designed to take you from A to Z. We have students who are changing careers. We have students who are bankers and say, you know, I've always loved film. I just want to get into it. We have students who are just out of high school, 20 years old. We have everybody. Yes, it's quite possible you could be in a class, somebody next to you works in production, and the other person on the other side of you says, what exactly does production mean? Yes, that is very common. There's also an option, without getting into too much detail, about waiving a couple of required courses if one already has a sufficient background. That's its own situation, which you can speak with me about. But a quick answer is absolutely not. No, this is designed to, it's an introduction to your area of study. And then, of course, as you go through it, as you take, if you're in directing, craft of the director, you would want to start off with that. Then you would take directing workshop 1. Here's the camera. Here's how to hold it. Today, we're going to do a 2-minute film of how to learn lighting or staging, any of that. And it progresses. So no, that's not necessary at all. And I would encourage you, I also saw another question here about, I'm a writer, songwriter, screenwriter, actor, etc. In the entertainment world, all these things help each other to get deep into Hollywood. Yes, that's one of the great things about Los Angeles. Occasionally, it can be one of the most obnoxious things about it, but one of the great things about it is almost everybody's in the industry. I wish I could show you, you can't see it behind me here, it's too bright, but across the street from me, they've been filming for the past 2 days. I mean, like, it's got to be a major film because they've got major cranes out there and bounce screens, and they were filming all night. You go into a cafe for a cup of coffee, and I guarantee you'll hear somebody talking about their script or going to go on tour soon or something like that. And not to name drop, having breakfast with my wife, and she said, "Do you remember such and such a show?" I said, "Oh yeah." She said, "Yeah, he just walked in." And this is not to say, oh, stars are everywhere and it's great. It's an extraordinarily challenging industry. I'm not going to lie at all. You have to want to be in this industry. If you want to be in this industry and you're willing to put in the time, you're willing to network, this really is the place to do it because it is everywhere. It's everywhere you go. And that's one thing I hear from a lot of students from various parts, even from different states in the United States. They say, yeah, I live in wherever, name a state, and I'm the only person in my school who has an interest in making a film. So that's why I came here. And yeah, it's true. All of a sudden you're in LA, everybody's making a film. So again, just for me personally, sometimes it's a little annoying because I want to get home and there's a red carpet event on Wilshire Boulevard and I can't get home. Other people think that's the coolest thing they've ever seen. But the point is, it is here and it's everywhere. And if it's what you love to do, then come and do it.
This is truly, you're absolutely right. This is the only place where you can do it. I mean, there isn't another place like Hollywood, like Los Angeles in the world. If you want to be if you want to work in the global entertainment industry, you have to be here. There is no other way to say it. You said something interesting, Drew. In my last class, I had an HBO executive, a Google executive responsible to push content on Amazon Prime, and a very high caliber art dealer who works with very rich people who buy art and now put a film fund together to learn about investing in film. This is my last class, just this last one that just, the poor people that went through the final. Just to give you an idea of how wide the spectrum is. Of course, we have a very famous actress in the class. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but she's very famous. We have various directors in there who just want to, kind of go above the creative level and really understand how they can actually make their movies happen so they can expand their career as directors. They have done a few things already. They just want to go wider and learn about financing. Just trying to get some examples of how wide the variety is. That's why I always ask in the first meeting that we have, who are you guys? What are you doing? What are you interested in? And then you get all the, where they are in their career, and you're extremely surprised the level of different people that you meet. And that's a beautiful thing. You're in the class and you're meeting people that you could be doing a movie with tomorrow. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Because, sorry to interrupt you, but those in our acting certificate in acting, you have to take post-production. And you might think, but I'm an actor. What do I care about post-production or pre-production? Well, I can go on for many minutes about why you need to know that. But guess who else has to take those classes? Your cinematography students, your directing students, your producing students. Get to know these people. These are the people that you'll be collaborating with, working on projects, perhaps just for UCLA Extension, or perhaps a few years down the road when you're doing your career. So it's a fantastic opportunity to network and really get to know people. It really is great. It's great. And I've been working here for 20 years. The number one absolute best thing about our programs are our instructors. I mean, Jeanette, for goodness sakes, read her credits. Go on IMDb. I mean, these are phenomenal folks. They truly, truly are. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. These are folks who teach because they want to teach. They're in the industry and they come to teach because they love to pass along the knowledge. So it's a fantastic situation. It really is.
Thank you, Drew. I have to say why I teach, honestly, is because it feels very rewarding. It's a beautiful thing to share your knowledge with people that are now where you started. This mentorship thing, I was lucky to meet mentors that helped me out. And I feel like I now can give some of this back. And it's just a beautiful feeling. It's not, you're not doing it, you know, you do it because the feeling that you get from when you help someone on their path. And funny enough, when I started teaching at UCLA Extension in, I think it was 2017, I'm now making movies with the people that were in my class then. So I get it. It's amazing. They have the best ideas, I'm telling you. I get ideas obviously sent to me from agencies, you know, we know who they are, but the best ideas come from you guys, so keep it going. It makes me very happy to be able to do that, honestly.
Guys, I think we have one more question for Rosalia.
Yes, we do.
I have a question for Rosalia.
Marco, o scholarship, na verdade, não é o scholarship para o programa inteiro. Depois que você já está no UCLA Extension, você pode... Eles têm alguns scholarships que você pode se aplicar. Como eu falei, eu ganhei o Hummel e o Movie Magic Scholarship. O Hummel, você tem que... Você escreve uma carta, você precisa de 2 cartas de recomendação, sendo que uma tem que ser de um dos professores que te deu aula no UCLA Extension. E aí depois você faz uma prova que é como se fosse uma redação também, tudo em inglês. E aí disso, acho que são 3 pessoas por quarter que ganham esse scholarship, que normalmente eles pagam em média por 2 aulas. E aí tem o do Movie Magic, que também é uma carta que você escreve em inglês, que é específico do Entertainment, que, se eu não me engano, é uma vez por ano, e aí eles também te dão o crédito para você fazer uma aula sem pagar. Mas, basicamente, você aplica depois que você está aqui, e, basicamente, é você escrever e ter as recomendações e tudo mais.
I want to be
just
respectful
one more
of
question.
everyone's... Yeah, I see there's a new question there. Yes. Okay, I just wanted to briefly answer that one. That ultimately is the point of our certificate in entertainment studies. So that specifically, look, if you know I'm a director, I want to be a director, of course, take the certificate in directing. If you're not certain where your passion is, I would suggest, if you plan on coming here on the F1 visa, you take the certificate in entertainment studies. In that program, you still have your pre-production, post-production, business of entertainment, language of filmmaking. You still have those 4 foundational courses. Then you take 1 acting course, 1 cinematography, 1 directing, 1 producing, 1 development. It gives you a little bit of a lot of areas. And I don't know if this is different with working with STB, but generally speaking, if our students wish to change certificates, let's say you come on your F1 visa, you do the certificate in entertainment studies, you're halfway through it and you say, you know what? Wow, producing is my thing. I love it. Can I switch to the certificate in producing? Per UCLA Extension and you're on the F1 visa, yes, you can. You can switch. You would be issued a new I-20. So long-winded way of saying, to answer the question, definitely consider certificate in entertainment studies because it is very broad and will give you a lot of knowledge in various areas.
And Rosalie, I don't know if you see that question, but I also did want to be mindful of people's time. I know we're pretty much wrapping things up at this point, but Rosalie, if you wanted to, obviously I can't read that, but if you wanted to maybe answer that, or I'm not sure if you already answered the question in Portuguese.
No, I can answer.
And after that, I guess we'll wrap. Okay, thank you.
Jennifer, como eu falei no começo, com o I-20, que é o F1 Visa, você só pode trabalhar para universidade. Então, o que os alunos da UCLA Extension podem trabalhar para a UCLA é para o Hummer Museum, então você pode trabalhar no museu, você pode trabalhar no catering e você pode trabalhar no faculty, que é o restaurante, como se fosse o restaurante dos professores. E aí, né, nesses lugares, você pode trabalhar com esse visa por até 20 horas por semana, que é o permitido. Fora disso, não.
Okay, guys, I would like to thank you very, very much. It was amazing. Thank you for bringing this amazing content to us and for answering all of our questions.
I wish we could all be in the same cafe and have a bunch of coffee and really chat, because I have a feeling there are a lot more questions. It would be great.
Yes.
Exactly. We can repeat. We can do this again, for sure.
Thank you for having me to join you guys. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Jeanette, for bringing your amazing experience. Yes, so I'm gonna just switch back to Portuguese just to give an announcement and to wrap things up. Então, gente, muito obrigada pela participação de todos. Eu queria convidá-los a procurar o STB, a gente pode ajudar vocês com todos esses programas que foram falados aqui e muitos outros. A UCLA Extension tem outras áreas também, né? Então, nós podemos ajudar a todos, tá? Então, fica esse convite aí, entre no nosso site, nas nossas redes sociais, o nosso blog tem muito conteúdo legal. E até a próxima. Tchau, tchau. Boa noite.
Tchau, tchau.
Bye, bye.
Bye.